This week on Two Noobs, Portland public schools are banning teachers from political classroom displays. Wait a second. Hold on. Portland public schools are banning. Okay, it says Portland there. Well, okay, we'll get into that. Next, the 76ers are proposing a new arena in downtown Philadelphia. We'll discuss the pros and cons and why it's 10 years too late for Mr. Tracy. Then, a new reason to not eat Doritos. Or is it? I can't tell if this was supposed to be good or bad. Rub it on your skin? I don't know, something. And then finally, what questions would we ask the presidential candidates besides, will you please go away? Start the music. Welcome in, ladies and germs. It is episode 207 of the Two Noobs Talking podcast, the first podcast, I guarantee you, to inform you that it has been discovered that mammals are capable of breathing through their anuses. I saw it. It's true. It's true.
Okay,
Don't
cool.
look it up. Go ahead. Look it up.
I'm in it. I'm in it to win.
That guy over there is really weird sometimes, John. I don't know.
I don't know where he is because he screws my camera up all the time. over here. I know I'm not in the middle. That's all.
Oh, there you go.
It's the magic of electric touch.
Yes.
All right, we've got some things to clean up from last week, gentlemen.
Yes, we do.
First of all,
so I'm just gonna sit this one
First
out.
of all, we are recording on Friday the 13th. Note Mr. Tracy's shirt.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Today, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned the case we talked about last week about the voter rights and the counting mail-in votes that don't have a
date on it.
The envelope. Yeah.
So I win. Okay, cool. Because if I fuck up, they yell at me. So if you mess up, they're gonna yell at you.
There you go.
Woo! Right. Yes. Apparently, they determined that the lower court did not have competent jurisdiction to make the decision that they did because they did not have all 67 counties of Pennsylvania as parties. They only had Philadelphia, and I think the other one was Cumberland. So
You're
without
missing a few there.
Yeah. So without proper jurisdiction, that court was unable to rule that the throwing out ballots that don't have a date on it was unconstitutional. So we're back to you don't put a date on it, your vote is tossed.
There you go.
What a Republican thing to do. That's just a technicality that they threw that out on. That's not even on merit.
Okay. No controversy here.
Second, prior to the first. Matt Craig had an over 40 last week.
Yeah.
And since he was so keen to throw me under the bus about being wrong about who threw the overtime touchdown pass against the Dallas Cowboys.
Which you haven't apologized for, but I know you're going to after this, so that's fine.
Can I really quick say Steve stayed up every night and researched this since the podcast?
Yes.
I'm just assuming.
This is 100% he did.
If only that were true, it would have been more worthwhile than what I did stay up all night for this week. But Matt had mentioned that he wrote a comment about Neville Chamberlain being the real villain of World War II because he allowed Germany
kind of kick-started the whole war, and
right. Well, he stated that Neville Chamberlain had allowed Germany to invade Poland without repercussion, which is wrong.
Yeah.
And so the comment responding back to you
was correct. Was still right, but was still like rude because it was like, no, you were wrong. Czechoslovakia was
correct
invaded,
and specifically, I believe it's called the Sudetenland, is what was ceded in 1938,
9, yeah, something like that.
It was 30. I think it was 37 or 38. Because then there was more of Czechoslovakia and then Poland.
I'm just going with 37 because more cool hockey players wore 37 than 38.
Including me. There you go. So, yeah, I apologize for that. Now, Mr. Murray, if you would apologize for what you said, that was a...
I'm not apologizing for crap.
You were just happening to be dead wrong. insane.
It was
that,
the Mandela effect.
Ah.
It's just what it is.
Yeah.
And if someone
None
can
of those
explain if someone can explain that to me, I would love to hear it.
None of those
Leave it in the
quarterbacks
comment.
exist in my world, so it doesn't really matter what happened. They
Fair
weren't
enough.
Eagles. They were
All
not
right.
Eagles.
All right. Well, I've delayed this long enough. Over here is Journey, John Tracy. Over here is Men at Work, Matt Craig.
There you go.
80s bands. I in the middle, I'm Steve Murray Band. That's right.
Nice.
I'm
One of my
confiscating that.
One of my favorites.
There you go.
Hate to bring the room down for a minute here, gentlemen, but James Earl Jones passed away this week at the age of 93. Very sad.
Good run.
Hell of a
Long
run.
Long
Hell of
life.
a
Can't
run.
ask for anything
What a
better than that.
talent.
Yeah.
What a talent.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
It was the longest time that I didn't realize he wasn't British.
which character? Yeah. Which character
Yeah.
was the better one that he played? Was it Ray in Field of Dreams or Darth Vader?
Oh, Darth Vader.
Yeah.
I hate
Yeah,
Field of
well,
Dreams.
I would say absolutely Darth Vader, but have you seen some of the stuff he did on Broadway?
Yeah.
Masterpieces.
Master. Yeah.
Man, he was
Brilliant.
he's one of the all-time greats.
Yeah. So
He
sad
could
to
be
see him
anything
go.
at any time.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, Mufasa.
That
Well,
too.
yeah, that
Anyone?
too. That too.
I mean, he did such a fantastic job
Mm.
with Mufasa that when they did the live action remake in 2019 of The Lion King, they brought him back to be Mufasa, and he was the only one they brought back.
Yeah.
Smart because it's talent.
Yeah.
I think he goes down as one of. I'm not into ranking things, but if gun to my head, if you had to give me like top 5 actors, he's absolutely on it. Like that, what a phenomenal career.
Yeah. Easily in the Mount Rushmore of greatest actors ever.
I would absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you know he was actually in Doctor Strangelove, Stanley Kubrick's 1964?
Not
Really?
shock me now.
Wow.
He was very young and easy to miss if you're not paying attention, but he is there. He's on the plane that Slim Pickens, I forget his name, Slim something. He drops off on the nuke, riding it down, waving that. All right, so our rest in peace to James Earl Jones,
Yeah.
a well-earned career, fantastic. We will miss him.
Gonna miss that voice. My God, what a voice.
Absolutely. This
You know-
is CNN.
What was great about his career, to wrap this up real quick, was that initially he stuttered and had a very difficult time speaking because of his stuttering. And he worked all the way through it. Not to mention, oh, by the way, the racism that he had to encounter in the
Oh, yeah.
in the 60s and everything.
Oh yeah.
And then vaulted his career, obviously Darth Vader being huge in that really launched into really his career in the stratosphere. But he could not speak the English language well when he was a kid, and he worked at it and worked at it and worked at it and worked at it and became one of the all-time greats. So there you go.
The all-time great speakers.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
What a great lesson for everybody to take in.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Let's move on to the Dubby Energy fun fact, if we shall. Visit Dubby Energy Drinks at their website, dubby.gg, D-U-B-B-Y, or download the app onto your phone. If you enter the promo code Too Noobs Talking, that's T-O-O-N-O-O-BS Talking, you get 10% off your order on most products. You forget stuff, right?
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah. Well, if you want to set it and forget it, why not join the Dubby Club? Dubby will deliver 12 assorted on-the-go drink stick flavors to you each month for $24.99 a month. Cancel, pause, or skip anytime. No questions asked. You have no excuse not to get some Dubby drinks.
Hell yeah.
Mr. Tracy,
Yes.
hit us with you've got another double fun fact for us.
Yes, I do, because this one isn't just, it needs a second one to help it out here. So since I'm in the Pacific Northwest, which I love, by the way, it's beautiful. I would move out here in a heartbeat. Oregon, a wonderful state that I, was living in a little while ago, is bordered by Washington, Idaho, Nevada, California, and the Pacific Ocean.
There you go.
That's pretty interesting to me.
Yeah.
'cause
You're essentially surrounded by like
it's
5 or 6.
not California. I
Yeah.
didn't think California would get that, like, because it's so big, but Oregon is bordered by a lot of things.
Oh yeah. Love
The
it.
second is that her birthday, we'll call it a her because that's what it says here,
Okay.
was on Valentine's Day
Aw.
in 1859, which is kind of cool. It was founded on Valentine's Day,
There you go.
which is now why isn't it Oregon's Day?
Because the card companies who made up Valentine's Day sought a greater symbol of love than Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll find out later.
There you go. Love it.
Well, speaking of Oregon, I guess that's why you picked that fun fact. We will get to that in topic 1.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we have an over 40 rant by me
You.
on the other side of the country.
Oh no. Not another New
This-
York trip.
And not
Oh,
in nice places.
so yes, I made an annual trip to New York City this past week
Woohoo.
for a legally conference.
Okay.
I had to get my rear end up at 5:00 in the morning to drive to Trenton to catch
And
a
that's
six.
why he's pissed.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't help. I was already ornery. To catch a 6:30 Amtrak train up to New York City Penn Station, get up, then walk the 15 minutes to the place where the conference was being held. And it's Penn Station, Island of Manhattan, 34th Street. I walked straight up 7th Avenue. So you're looking at Times Square. A year later from my last over 40 rant on New York City, nothing has changed. It smells like a combination of piss, weed, and vape everywhere.
That wouldn't be something you would want to have,
No,
nor
No.
ingest.
no. And to make matters worse, the walk up was not terrible. It was before 8:00. That probably had something to do with it. But
Yeah.
after the conference was over, I'm walking back to the train station. It's rush hour. It's after 5:00. Shoulder to shoulder. I mean, you might as well be in it's like
Yeah, it's
in
like
a car, 90 traffic on 95 at rush hour.
Yeah.
Cars as far as the eye could see, but this is people. So they're actually touching, and it's gross. Too many people, not enough sidewalk.
Oh.
I really just don't get the love affair with New York City people. Just get
Yeah.
over yourselves.
No.
You need to move that conference to Philly.
I wish.
It'll be better.
The problem is it's put on by bar associations from Connecticut down to Pennsylvania.
Oh, so they
so
compromise.
New York is kind of like the central
Yeah.
location.
I think you're strong.
You should have it in like some sort of like swamplands of New Jersey, outside of New York City.
We actually 2 years ago they did.
Oh, really?
So that was easy. I drove up to, I don't think it was as far as Newark, but
Were
I
you
drove up there.
Were you happier with that?
I was, because you know what? It didn't smell like piss and weed. And,
I need to go back to that. I'll catch a flight. We'll strong arm. We'll see it our way.
People out there, you have this romantic ideal of New York City. It's not true.
That's not true.
Just
But there are people on this planet that have romantic ideas about their toilet, and we all know that's so, it's just the way it is.
Oh,
this
goodness.
You absolutely speak the truth.
Yeah. Oh, my
Mets
God.
Phillies time.
Yeah, we're not going to
Yeah.
talk about that.
No, we're not going to talk
Um,
about that. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a Friday night recording. You can look on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
if you
Yeah,
want
I
to.
know. I know.
Hopefully, by the time this episode drops, the Phillies will have won a few games against the Mets and knocked their magic number down even further to clinch the NL East, which would be terrific.
Yeah. One game does not a series make.
No, but Aaron Nola, you got to do better.
Yeah. Like,
Not with this team.
Yeah.
Series one game does not make a series.
yeah.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Well, we're going to move on to topic 1. Speaking of trying to do better, I don't know. This is an Oregon Live article. A new rule governing what Portland public schools educators are and are not allowed to put on the walls of their classrooms is drawing pushback from its vocal teachers union. Under the rule, items on display in classroom walls and bulletin boards must be related to approved
Curriculum.
Oh, sorry. John's cursor there is messing me up.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you could say that.
So, okay, so
It is off
under
to
the
the side
rule,
now.
under the rule, items in classroom walls and bulletin boards must be related to approved curriculum or district-sponsored events. The rules specify that classroom spaces cannot be used for an employee's personal expression, whether that is related to a political or personal issue.
Hmm.
The new guidance was adopted without fanfare in August as an administrative directive, meaning that it did not require approval from the school board or a public airing. The change comes after district-wide upheaval last spring tied to the Israel-Hamas conflict. The Portland Association of Teachers, or PAT, President Angela Bonilla said via written statement that she believes the rule violates our collective bargaining agreement. In addition, it is unworkable, overly broad, and vague. According to the district.
May I quickly interject with that quote?
Please.
Yes.
Yeah. She said, quote,
Well, this violates our collective bargaining agreement. In addition, it is unworkable, overly broad, and vague.
Thank you. Thank you for fixing that.
you're welcome.
The district, in response, has said their statement, our rule is focused on ensuring the classroom spaces continue to be used for curriculum and PPS-related content. The administrative directive is content neutral, and we believe supports the goal of remaining focused on creating a rich educational environment for students. I think the key word there was content neutral, Mr. Constitution Craig.
Yes.
What do you think?
Love it. 100% love it. Even though the teachers union and the president can go suck a lemon over this entire
Nice.
thing. Can you imagine that visual? But no, it's good. It really is good. They are to teach. That's it. No more, no less. You don't bring in your own individual biases. You don't try to, at least. But essentially, I mean, these are kids. You don't need to interject politics into this. Your job is to teach them reading, writing, and arithmetic. And that's it. And, maybe mix in a science or two or social sciences. But if you feel so compelled to want to bring your own political machinations against somebody who's 10 or 8 years old, that's pretty pathetic of you, to be perfectly honest. You can't hold a debate then of someone of your own age. And if you feel like you have to portray your own little, let's just say left-leaning or right-leaning causes to children, that's pretty pathetic. So I'm good on this. I of all places, Portland, Oregon, I would have never called that on my 2024 bingo card at all. So that's really good. I think it's fantastic. I don't know what John did, but I mean, going out to the Northwest there, John, you must have made a change. I don't know.
I make things happen.
Yeah.
John made them an offer they couldn't refuse.
That's what I do.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. John, what do you think, man?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Kids have so much to deal with, and
Who would have thought?
I would like to normalize that more than idiots on Twitter that, my life's so hard. Like, kids have the hardest comeuppance.
Yeah.
They don't know who they are yet. They're trying to figure out the world, and they're shuffled through these schools. The last thing they need is indoctrination to political parties and gay rights ads and conservative ads or anything that would show them how stupid the world is once they get out of school.
Yeah.
And they're going to learn once they get in the workforce. They don't need that. They need to figure out who they are and what they're going to do before they need any of this. This is good on Portland by doing exactly what the teachers union was doing against them for the longest time, circumventing the rules to get a rule passed. This is good.
Yeah.
I don't know if it will stand, but
Right.
I like that you played their game. And
Well,
you put it out there.
The way things are going with Two Noobs, by next week it'll probably have been overturned.
Yeah, exactly.
after we talk about it.
It's going to be completely overturned because
Right.
you can't do that, and then There'll be a
I mean,
fight in the streets.
Yeah.
I'll at least give the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania credit. They waited until our episode dropped before. They, what was the story a couple weeks ago that we had the thing had totally reversed? Oh, it was Disney.
It was Disney.
Yeah, Disney had pulled off of their.
Well, Steve, it's all about this.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's always about the money. Yeah.
I mean, I remember when we were growing up in school, the stuff on the walls in the classroom was like ABC. In October there was a pumpkin.
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Yeah. I see. I've been into classrooms recently. My kids, parent night, and some of the teachers will have the one teacher, he had Raiders gear up because he was an Oakland Raider or whatever they are now,
Yeah.
Las Vegas
Raiders. Or
He was a
whatever.
Raiders fan. I was like,
Okay.
yeah.
That's okay because that creates conversation. That's not life or death. But if it's a Trump or Harris sign, that's
totally different.
Yeah, people don't need to be involved. You don't need, if you can't vote, you don't need to be involved.
Yeah, and also like either having an Israeli flag or a Palestinian flag.
You don't need to be involved because they can't go to war. So why should they have an opinion?
Right. I mean,
and they're not funding it. So
I understand. I think Steve's point is really good in the fact that, okay, with that teacher in Abington with that Las Vegas Raiders pennant or whatever, let's just throw it out there, meant to have a conversation. Okay, he's an Oakland Raiders fan. That's pretty cool. We might have had a history with it, but he's not going to try and convert my kid to be a Las Vegas Raiders fan.
A Dallas Cowboy fan might.
I mean, some dastardly things could happen if it was a Cowboys thing, and then
we're pushing the envelope there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like with certain things, you don't go down. Your main job, like I said at the top, is to teach my child how to read, how to write, how to figure out problem solving with numbers. That's it. That doesn't mean I'm diminishing the entire profession of teaching, but it is setting a boundary for those teachers to say, that's your job. Your job is to make sure my child walks out of your school as a soon-to-be productive member of society. That's what your job is. If your job is to try and indoctrinate, that's not teaching. Go and volunteer somewhere else. Go and volunteer at your local, House of Representatives campaign, and do that and try and indoctrinate people that way. But don't do it in the school district. That's totally separate for me. So I love it.
Well, I bring up the Raiders thing because I think that might be unsavory under this rule because it says political or personal issue. Sports fan being a personal issue, so that might. That gets into how the rule would be enforced. But the fact that the school district is like, this is content neutral, so
that's the key phrase.
There was another attempt at this in somewhere else mentioned in the article. But what that school district tried to do was say we ban controversial things. And that's like, well, what's controversial? That's totally a viewpoint, and who makes that decision?
That's vague.
That's vague.
That's real vague.
And ridiculous.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Yeah, that's a blanket statement, essentially a blanket word, really, because anything could be controversial, essentially.
Right. And again, it's who's deciding what's controversial or not.
Right.
That's the real point. Is depending on the biases or viewpoints of one person, something could be controversial, whereas someone else might not think it is, and all haywire. This is content neutral.
I believe that was also in Oregon.
Yes, I think that's right.
Just for me, it was a different county.
Yes.
In Oregon.
Yeah, but what this school district did is this is First Amendment law right here. Content neutral is the regulation is okay if it's blanket everything and not based on viewpoint.
Yeah.
Right. So when you see, we're banning all parades, not just certain types of parades, that's okay because it has nothing to do with what the subject matter of the parade is. It's just no parades.
Yeah.
Same thing here.
And right. And I think, again, to your point, Steve, also in that article, and this is a great paragraph here, suggested lessons This is talking about the Portland Associated Teachers publishing this controversial guide, basically teaching and organizing in support of Palestinian statehood. Suggested lessons included encouraging students to pray to Allah on behalf of Palestinians and writing letters to the U.S. president to urge an end to funds for Israel. That is not content neutral. That is, I am taking this stand. That is not what you should be doing as a district.
And that's the purview of the parents right there.
Yeah.
You know, suppose you've got Jewish kids in the school.
Christian. I would not want my kid doing that.
Well, I mean, Jewish is directly related because Israel is their state, and it's like, you know, I'm pretty sure their parents don't want them being indoctrinated in this type of view.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing stuff like that, and it would go the other way too.
Yeah.
And that's why I think content neutral is good. You're right. It's reading, writing, arithmetic. Yeah. Teach that, and keep the rest of the stuff. Let that be parents and people outside of the school. The school is not for shaping their value system. That is that is primarily on the parents. And sometimes parents do a shit job. I understand that, but this is not the place for it.
Leave the damn kids alone.
Mm-hmm. All right, let the lemon sucking resume.
No.
You guys don't like lemons?
I love lemons.
Iced tea, yeah. Definitely the iced tea.
I like a little salt lemon water.
Oh, there you go.
I'm a big fan of that.
There you go.
Salt?
A little bit, tiny bit of salt, just to help.
Just enough. Yeah.
Yeah, just to help. Just
Okay.
A little sprinkly salt.
Not sugar? Okay.
Not.
It's that
no,
magnesium
not, like,
sulfate.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Not the iodized salt. I'm talking like Himalayan sea salt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, magnesium sulfate makes everything taste better.
Yeah, it totally does.
You
Also
can't get
makes
enough
your
of it.
insides glow.
That's why I'm drinking it right now through here.
That's later. The insides glow.
Right.
Yeah.
Microplastics.
Yes. Oh, goodness.
All right, before we devolve, let's get into topic 2. Philly Voice article here. Hundreds of people packed the convention center last Wednesday night for a town hall meeting Mayor Sherelle Parker organized to hear perspectives on the proposed 76ers arena in Center City. Critics of the team's proposal described the site between 10th and 11th Streets as a tight fit for an arena that would regularly draw more than 18,000 fans to the vicinity. They argued major intersections could be pushed to a breaking point if droves of fans insist on driving to games instead of taking public transportation, one of the key points raised in the traffic impact study released last month. But while day-to-day concerns about traffic and parking rank high among the fears of Chinatown residents and visitors, it is the long-term question of the neighborhood's survival that most preoccupies skeptics of the proposal. As many as half of Chinatown's small businesses face negative impacts from an arena, according to the city's community impact study. Representation on the other side from Philadelphia's labor unions spoke strongly in favor of the project. They argued it would create thousands of construction jobs and permanent positions, offering union wages to people of color who lack opportunities to work in Center City. Some said East Market Street needs a shot in the arm to emerge from a decades-long rut and regain its historic role as one of the city's thriving commercial districts, one that would get enhanced public safety and a favorable climate for investment. I note that one commenter said she moved to Philadelphia from Brooklyn, where she had experienced the changes brought about by the construction of the Barclays Center.
Yeah.
A similar debate took place around that arena before it was completed in 2012. The commenter lamented the routine traffic congestion and smell of car exhaust filling the neighborhood air around the Barclays Center. Another commenter said the arena would help deter crime in a rundown part of Center City that once felt like a welcoming, fun place to spend time when she was growing up. Make it safe like it used to be from City Hall all the way to the waterfront, the woman said. John, you were a frequenter of this area, as I take it, in your days when you lived in the city. So what can you tell us?
Absolutely.
What can you tell us about how you think a 76er arena would fare in that location?
I see. I was always wanting the Phillies to do that in that Chinatown area.
Well,
when
they
were talking
contemplated
about
it.
No,
Yeah, when they were talking
did
about
it,
it years ago. I thought it would do well, and then when I saw the Sixers in 2022 when they put their proposal out, man, they're willing to spend billions of dollars and really uplift that community and change a lot of things. From Steve, you made that commute to Market East before. You know the train coming in and all that. Like, it's not great. It wasn't great when I did it. Like, but they're talking about building it like 2 or 3 stories, some stores back when it was like when we were kids.
Yeah.
Like, because it used to be storefronts at Market East, and you could go down there for a day with your grandparents or your parents, walk around and have. That's what they're trying to bring back.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people are trying to deter like something that looks like it's going to create a ton of buzz, a lot of jobs, and something cool for the people who live in the city. You can walk to the Sixers game. You know how many people would go to a Sixers game if they could walk to it?
Well, as my father likes to say, there's always going to be NIMBYs. Not in my backyards for those who.
Yes.
But I
Thank you, Papa Mary.
Yeah.
I have a question about the jobs. I understand you'd have jobs created for the construction of the arena.
Yeah.
But then the arena's built. Where do those jobs go, and what kinds of permanent jobs are we talking about here? I mean, I guess since the Flyers would still be playing at the Wells Fargo Center, it's not like you're taking the concession staff and the facility staff from there and moving them. You'd have to create new positions, but I don't feel like there's that many jobs that this would create long term. I don't understand that argument.
I think they're ballooning that up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The construction jobs definitely, because that's a what, a 2, 3, 4 year process.
Yeah, probably
Like,
be a 3-year
you gotta knock some
process.
things down. You got to put them things up. It's going to take a while.
Yeah.
So that I think that's where they're using. There's going to be a lot of jobs because you got to knock it down, put it back up. But if they're talking that they're going to change Market East and they're going to make it tier level like the 2022 one, then you got restaurants, you got bars, you got shops, you're creating a little economy down there, and that might be what they're talking about. They're very vague on that, so I don't know. I'm just spitballing on that.
Yeah.
So
Jobs.
exactly. What are you, Joe Biden? Jesus.
I don't know, Matt. What do you think?
Yeah, it's as John was talking about that, walking around Market East. I remember that as a kid, Johnny. My dad had a job at the old Strawbridge and Clothier down there, right off of Market East Station. And that was probably the coolest thing to go down there, because it was like you had not only just S&C, but you had all kinds of that mall in there was really cool. You got a ton of retail down there. And ever since really Strawbridge's sold their business, they pretty much killed that entire mall down there. And it's been pretty much like a glorified suburban station, basically. It's really bad down there. You got to watch where you're going, basically. It's interesting, it's like the Sixers have always wanted, I think, to get out of the city, out of South Philadelphia, and either be in downtown or go across the river and over to Camden, which I think would be ridiculous if they did that. That would absolutely kill the brand.
Commute.
Yeah.
It's such a hard commute for Philadelphians.
Yeah. That's almost like that's almost like saying, "Oh, I'm the New York Jets, but I don't play in New York. I play in New Jersey."
But don't they actually?
Yeah, Well, yeah, that's exactly
too.
what it is. Yeah. So it's not, you're not really representing Philadelphia when you go over to Camden. So I don't see that happening. I think it would be stupid for the brand. Anything like this is going to be a controversial thing. Going to be, to be perfectly honest. Especially, we've all grown up. South Philadelphia is basically the arenas and the stadiums. It's a great spot to go. But for whatever reason, the Sixers, I guess they just don't feel like the Wells Fargo Center is really drawing in the people that can really, if they move up into the city, maybe they feel like they could get that foot traffic, to John's point, and they come in, they just, you never know.
They're not
Um,
pulling the same fan base in
Well,
Philadelphia. That's why I think
guess
it's
not.
huge for them to move.
yeah,
field a team that has a chance to win something, and
Oh,
the
yeah,
fans will
absolutely.
show.
no, that's a whole other issue. But
Right. Well,
I
let
mean,
me-
long term. I don't mean
yeah, long term, yeah.
long term. I think just they would be closer to their fan base.
Yeah.
well, let me get your opinion though on, because Matt brings up a good point. We've grown up with the sports teams are in a dedicated complex. The stadiums and arenas are pretty much isolated where they are,
Mhm.
but they're highly accessible via the subway, as well as major the 95, 76,
75, yep.
all converge right there. It's, so you don't have to go through city traffic
Yeah.
to get there.
For people that don't understand, real quick, you can get down to the complex literally by any train station all over
Yeah.
the Philadelphia area. If you're in if you're in Doylestown, you can still get to an Eagles game. If you're in the Northeast, you can still get to an Eagles game, and it's convenient.
Yeah, and
That's
either
what
South
he's
Jersey
talking about.
too. South Jersey could do the
Yeah,
same
yeah,
deal.
it's super convenient to get to that area.
Yeah.
Right.
Like far more than other places.
But and I remember when the Phillies were talking about this. I remember it was another conversation I had with my father. It was like, oh well, it would be terrific to have the baseball stadium in the middle of town, because you get, you look out in the outfield, you see the skyline. It's right there in the middle of the city. It's the foot traffic, all that kind of fun stuff. And I've never quite thought, which one's better?
Yeah.
Because I've been to, I forget what it's called, where the Washington Capitals play in D.C.
Capital
Now,
One
It
Arena?
used to be the United Center, but I could totally be.
No, I think it's the Capital One Arena. I think is what it's called.
It could be. I've been there. That is in D.C.'s Chinatown.
Yeah.
So it was convenient when we were in the city to get to, but the parking situation was not great.
Pretty bad. Yeah.
And you can imagine what it's like traffic-wise around there before or after a game.
Yeah.
Camden Yards in Baltimore is sort of in the city. It's kind of a hybrid.
Yeah.
It's kind of in the city, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's on the riverfront, so it's
Yeah.
you're
It's
not
on the
in-
harbor.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not in this.
So, but it's sort of in the city, but it's not as isolated as the Philadelphia sports complex.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know, which one do you think is better? I mean, certainly for convenience of
Good question.
transportation and parking, I think the isolated types work well. But for kind of ambiance, maybe the inner city one works better.
I've been to so many baseball ballparks.
Mm-hmm.
I love the in the city type feel. I don't like the dome mass. Detroit is my favorite. The Comerica Park,
Yeah.
Detroit, my favorite ballpark of all time.
Yep.
It's probably because they have, the tigers climbing all over the stadium, which I think is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
But that is in the middle of the city, like the middle of the city.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's they have parking garages around, so the parking's not too terrible, but they go to a World Series. I mean, I'm sure they would have some issues with some parking.
Yeah.
Because everybody and their transportation system sucks there.
Yeah.
Since I was there in 2012, so I can't say that maybe they fixed it, but who knows? But I love that kind of thing. I've been to both of the New York stadiums, which are in the city. It's kind of cool when you have a good transportation. Washington Nationals, easy transportation, so you're not worried about.
But that one's not in the city, right?
No,
That
it's
one's
not in the city, but it's outside the city, but it's kind of in the city. But it's so convenient like where it is. You could just metro it in, and that's what I mean. If there's
Yeah.
Boston, same way. Fenway,
Yeah.
you can take transportation. Parking sucks. You wouldn't ever want to
Yeah.
be there.
I would
Progressive
imagine.
Field,
Right.
Progressive Field in Cleveland,
Cleveland.
same thing. You can't park, but you could totally take public transportation.
Sure.
Well, Matt, let me ask you this because it occurs to me an open stadium like the Phillies had proposed,
Yeah.
where you get that skyline view over the field, is one thing. A closed in basketball arena, though,
A little different.
seems to be a little different.
Yeah, it
Right?
would be. Yeah, it has a Pennsylvania Convention Center vibe to it, essentially. But
Good
really,
point.
that convention center is open during the day and not at night. So people could go to that essentially and like during the day. And, if they wanted to do like the auto show is usually on most
And
of
the
the
flower show.
and
Yeah,
the flower show and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I've been to PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Gorgeous stadium. Beautiful stadium. I mean, that's literally like you're right on the Allegheny River and you look over and there's Pittsburgh, like right smack dab. And it's like, wow, you feel like if you were down there,
It's beautiful.
you could whack that ball and maybe hit a skyline or two, but you're not going to do that. It's too far. But
I've been in Acrisure for a tour.
Oh, there you go.
That is not in the city. It is the same thing. It's kind of on the
Kind of
river.
next door.
going
Yeah.
Next door. It's not in the city.
Yeah.
So it's another one sort of like South Philadelphia. Where
Yeah.
it's
And
separate and apart.
I actually did the tour of PNC and I stayed in a hotel right across the street from it. Because I felt like, I could just walk right across the street and then just, I didn't have to worry about parking and parked in the hotel parking lot, basically.
So did you get lost like I did, going over bridges over and over again?
Not really. Not really. It was just like right next door.
I hate Pittsburgh for that reason.
Yeah. No, it could be a little hairy though, like kind of traffic wise. You're right though, Johnny, with that. It's like the curves can come up and sneak up on you if you're not careful. This is going to be very interesting for the Sixers. I don't know the answer to the question, Steve. I wonder. I could see a great nightlife down there, but I worry about the neighbors. The neighbors are going to complain, and then you got buses going out, up and down, left and right. And SEPTA, let's face it, when it comes to their regional rail, sucks. When it comes to their buses, they're a little bit better. They're more of a bus company than they are more of a train company.
Well, the subway that goes to the current stadium complex, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but at least it runs every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's
a direct express shot right down.
But Market East, which is now Jefferson Station, by the way, John.
Yes.
No.
Regional. That's the regional rail, which is it's a step up in class, I would say, from the subway trains. That only runs off peak like once an hour.
Yeah. Currently.
So they'd have to would have to increase that service if they were going to be doing Sixer games.
And that's
in town.
the problem that you've got with that, because it's literally like let's just say they have a 7:00 game, 9:00 is usually when they're over, 9:15. Let's just say you're getting everybody. You got 18,000 people coming and streaming out of that. So let's just say like maybe half that, 9,000, hop a rail. You better be on time, because if you're not, you got people in there stranded, and it's like that ain't good. And the way SEPTA's running their regional rails now, once an hour on the off peak, you gotta step that up. So,
but wouldn't they turn that into a peak? Because
I would think they
Sixers
would.
game would be right on top of it, so they would definitely have to.
I mean that would have to be. I can't imagine the Sixers not asking SEPTA to have that kind of a service where they're running every 10-15 minutes. But again, we're talking about SEPTA, and SEPTA's not good. You know what I mean? I'm holding my breath with them, that kind of a deal. And it would be a learning curve, no question, that first year.
Yeah.
That kind of a deal. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to the question. The Sixers seem determined to want to leave Wells Fargo. I mean, everything I'm hearing out of Dan Hilferty down there is like, we want to keep the Sixers here. We want to expand. South Philadelphia, make it a vibrant place, blah, 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 blah. Standard boilerplate answers. And for whatever reason, Sixers are just like, I want to go in the city. So
'Cause they want the money. That
they
comes
want
with
the
owning
money.
building.
Yeah, and they've always wanted the money. They always wanted to separate themselves from the Flyers for decades. Really, they've always wanted to separate because they hated coming together. Harold Katz, when he owned the Sixers back then, he hated Ed Snyder. He absolutely loathed him, and
Makes sense.
and there was that partnership. Ed really built the Spectrum, and so he had to Snyder had to drag Katz kicking and screaming. Well, you can come play with us at the Spectrum. We'll share the revenues. Okay, fine. Harold Katz hated Ed Snyder, hated him with a passion for that very reason. I think that's the Sixers have always wanted to kind of separate themselves from the Flyers in that regard. Who knows? But be interesting. Be
All right,
interesting.
well, we'll see what happens, but we know it's going to be a long, drawn-out fight. And when does the lease for the Sixers end with the Wells Fargo?
2030.
31?
Yeah, 2031. Yeah.
All right, so we got another 7 years to go before they even get out of there.
Yeah.
I'll take care of it. Don't worry.
And for our next segment, John Tracy will now rub Doritos all over his body.
I don't do that.
In public.
Tell us why don't you just tell us about the website? And keep your weird.
How did you know that's where I was going? Well, listen.
We wrote this before.
There you go.
If you do not want to see what I just described, you must go to the website.
Yeah, please.
Please do. Okay.
But if you want to see that, there's a link in the book. You gotta pay like $1,000, but it can happen.
Oh my goodness.
And Steve will spend that $1,000.
That's so funny.
Oh God, John's gonna start his own OnlyFans with Dorito fetishes.
Oh.
There you go.
Anyway, our website is twonoobstalking.wordpress.com. Okay, if you go there, it has you can watch our episodes all the way back to episode 140. So we've got like 66 of them up now.
Crazy.
Well, 67 by the time this one gets posted, whenever I get around to posting it.
Yeah.
Good number.
If you want to see something before that, because there was some really cool stuff before that, like me singing as Andrew Cuomo or Chris Cuomo. I don't know.
Chris Cuomo.
Yeah.
Chris Cuomo.
The one that didn't lie to Congress.
Right.
What, yeah. Okay.
That doesn't help. That our website will take you to our YouTube channel where you should like, share, or subscribe. Because we want to hear from you. We'd like to see the support. We want to see the subscriber numbers go up. We're here for you people. Not really. We're actually here for ourselves. But
Yeah, fuck you. Go fuck yourself.
John,
Okay.
stop it.
stop. Okay, with the only
Don't
a
make me come out
narcissist.
through the organ. Lex Luger.
Oh.
Yay, we
haven't
got
had
him.
that in like 3 weeks.
Yay.
You haven't figured it out.
Yeah. All right. All right. So, back to the website. If you go back there, if you don't want to watch John rubbing Doritos all over his body, but you want to hear about it, then there's links to various audio channels, standard audio podcasting channels where you can find our show. And if you have one of those weirdo programs, stop doing that. But anyway, there's an RSS feed. You plug that into your podcatcher, and you'll link us up to it.
Yeah.
I still love you. Steve hates you as he's going to bed. Like, as he's going to sleep, he's like, shitty podcast. Shit.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know where else I could talk like this. It's fun. Okay, topic 3, which will explain the whole discourse we just had. Okay.
And I don't have it in front of me, so
Yeah.
good luck.
That's a shame. A food dye that helps give certain sodas and snacks, like Doritos, their hallmark orange hue, renders mouse skin almost completely see-through in a reversible, potentially non-toxic research method that could transform medical and scientific imaging. Because of a counterintuitive fundamental physics principle, tartrazine, also known as yellow 5, can temporarily turn biological tissue transparent to the naked eye, as described in a study published September 5th in the journal Science. So far, the scientists behind the new discovery have used the method to see the organs in a mouse's intact abdomen, glimpse the pulsing vessels surrounding a rodent's skull, and to get an exceptionally clear view of muscle tissue through a microscope. The method is simple. In short, massaging yellow 5 solution into hairless mouse skin over the course of a few minutes or using microneedling achieves complete optical transparency in the red region of the visible spectrum, per the study. Wash the dye away and the skin returns to its natural opaque state. The scientists determined that yellow 5 passes through the body within 24 hours, causing little inflammation or irritation, and shows minimal systemic toxicity. However, the method isn't yet perfect and can't, for instance, make an entire living mouse invisible or immediately enable us to see the inner workings of a human abdomen.
Damn it!
For one, yellow 5 can only penetrate so far into tissue, so it won't be as useful for imaging through thicker, less permeable flesh like that of a human. Without a targeted delivery strategy and a fine-tuned understanding of what concentration works best. And though initial toxicity assessments bode well, they're not so sure tartrazine will prove totally harmless in the long term with additional tests. I would suspect that dumping that amount of anything into a live organism is going to have some substantial effect. All right, so Matt, next time you go to the doctor, you're going to be rubbing tartrazine so you can have a look inside, right?
Mine as well. I mean, and I think I'm going to pass on Doritos for a long, long time, gentlemen. But it is funny. Like, I love one of the money quote here by Christopher Rowlands, senior lecturer and biophotonics researcher at Imperial College in London.
That sounds expensive.
Sounds totally expensive. Yeah, absolutely.
He's not just a researcher, he's a senior researcher.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds expensive.
He said this.
I instantly looked at it and went, my God, this is revolutionary.
Money quote right there. I died when I was reading that quote.
And then sold it to Elon Musk for $4 so that he could take the world over.
Kind of interesting that, we always joke about like what's in a bottle of water, right? The magnesium sulfate that's used to flavor water. And now we have a Doritos chip with this yellow 5, which sounds awfully like yellow fever, which I don't ever want to eat ever again. In fact, I haven't had Doritos in, I think, years. And if I ever do have it, it would be this flavor. That's the thing. And like, I don't do the Cool Ranch. The Cool Ranch is like way too spicy for some reason for me. You think with a ranch dressing, it's like, oh, okay, it's like nothing, but it doesn't really work that way. But I don't know. It's interesting what they find with all of these ingredients. I'll just put it that way. What do you guys think? John.
Well,
I'm extremely interested in this. I thought they were gonna connect it to like we have a way to do this with humans because how convenient would that be?
Oh yeah.
oh, you mean you don't have to shoot X-rays through my body anymore?
That's what I'm saying. Like how convenient. would
I'm
this
not so sure
be?
that.
Like,
Yeah, but I'm not so sure that would really work at the dentist office, though, Johnny. That's the only problem with that.
yeah, I'm not a scientist. But I like science doing science. So
Yeah.
I have no issue with science doing science at all. Like
It is.
if you could blow up a building or you could cure cancer. I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay with that kind of science in my life. I thought they were gonna go that way, but then they just like cut it off. They're like, maybe.
Yeah.
We got something, but not quite. They didn't want to. They didn't want to dive into it.
They don't want to
but-
get our hopes up.
No.
But
yeah.
yeah, totally. Like that's something if they keep working at it, and don't tell it to Elon Musk because he's gonna kill us all.
Too late.
Man, he's already there. If they could work that towards human trials, that would be very interesting.
Yeah,
for
you would
the medical
think.
field.
Yeah. Might
Because
be
then you
able
don't-
to.
like Steve said, you don't have to. X-rays can go away.
Yeah, it
You
might
don't
be.
have to You don't have to invasive surgeries.
Mhm.
Some of them can go away because you can see, oh, it's just in your lungs a little inflamed. Let's put
Mhm.
you on this or put you on that, and we can instead of cutting you open and going, oh shit, like
It
I
is.
messed up.
It is important though that for right now, obviously, like one of the researchers here in the article said, more safety research is needed. We strongly discourage attempting this on human skin, as the
Oh,
toxicology
absolutely.
of dye molecules in humans, particularly when applied topically, has not been fully evaluated. So that's
Yeah.
don't go trying this at home. Essentially,
No,
like don't go
absolutely
rubbing
not. But
Doritos on your
for
forearm.
but for the future, for
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
our grandkid or for our grandkids, like this is something. This is why you need to fund science. This is why you don't need Dr.
Yeah.
Fauci. You need real scientists
Yeah.
doing science things because things like this, you never know.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
never
40 years from now, when we're all in our 80s, maybe doing this podcast, who knows? But when we're all in our 80s, who knows if this
I
is
said
going
this
to
is
do
an
something?
irritation, so we'll probably be there.
Yeah, I would think. Yeah.
I'd like to know who decided, hey, let's rub some Doritos on the mouse and see what happens.
They did not.
That had to be in a vet or something like that in that biomedical research firm.
No.
Don't you think?
He was eating Doritos in the lab, and then
Fell on the neck, like,
it
yeah.
fell on the mouse, and he tried to clean it off. He's like, "Huh, that's interesting." So he grabbed the mouse and kept going. It's like, "Let's polish this sucker." It's like-
It was totally Pinky in the Brain kind of thing. The
Wow.
mouse was trying to take over the world, and he was eating Doritos, and it fell on him, and it was.
Oh, goodness.
I can see into your skull. That's fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. When you guys sent this, who sent this?
I
Matt?
think I did. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did.
When you sent this article, and I saw the headline, "The dye in Doritos can make mice transparent."
Yeah.
I totally thought this was going to be a "Do not eat Doritos" article.
No, it's actually a science article.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a legit science article. Yeah. Oh, my
well,
gosh.
also in fairness, I mean, to Matt's point about how he says, "Do not try this at home."
Yeah.
That is sort of kind of saying don't eat Doritos anymore, because if you eat lots of Doritos,
You just never
your
know.
insides might turn transparent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Somebody in your stomach's going to be looking out your belly button.
Love it.
All right, we've gone all this time in the episode, and we haven't mentioned the debate that happened.
There was a
last
debate?
week.
Really?
There was.
It
Oh.
was.
I didn't watch it. I had better things to do.
Yeah, I was editing this podcast for one thing.
I literally watched it because I knew we were gonna kind of talk about it, so I put it on in the background and threw
Oh.
up every once in
All
a
right.
while.
Oh,
Well,
God,
that makes
Johnny.
one of us, because I went to play hockey. So
Yeah.
Well, good for
Um,
you. Good for you.
yeah, I had much more fun. I did think it was hilarious that in the online discourse,
Hmm.
not a single person could be objective about who was winning,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you'd see a post that says, "Oh, Trump is totally annihilating Harris here,"
Yeah.
and then the very next post is, "Oh man, Harris really took down Trump there," and it's like, maybe take your blinders off and watch it without
Or at least try to.
favoritism and-
Yeah.
I
yeah.
wish I was in the comment section so I could say it literally the way I felt halfway through
Hmm.
was a cat walked into the room and threw up right on the carpet. That's how I felt halfway through.
I've lived that,
And that's
many
not I'm
times.
not taking sides there. That's what it felt like
Oh.
halfway through the debate.
I don't know how you had that even on, Johnny. I mean,
Cuz know your enemy. First of all, I live by that. Know
Oh,
your enemy.
God.
So I wanted to watch it because I wasn't sure either of them were capable to have a debate together.
and they weren't.
I didn't watch the Biden one because I knew that was going to be a train
Oh, that was
wreck.
gonna be a
So I
train
was
wreck.
like, so let's see what their replacement looks like.
Yeah.
Being a Republican, I wanted to see what the replacement looks like. It wasn't a train wreck. It was a cat throwing up in the middle of the carpet. Is what it was. It was definitely different.
Sounds like it. Yeah. At least she had a smile on her face while she was doing it. You know.
What's that saying? It's like a bunch of monkeys trying to hump a doorknob.
That's how that is another great analogy about like all these things. Joe Rogan talked about a group of orangutans that killed a man because he brought a birthday cake to his orangutan that he's put into this thing.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. Like, it's the most uncomfortable feeling. No matter how you say it, it was just icky.
Yeah.
It was icky in so many ways.
Yeah.
How did we get here? How did it get this bad?
Oh.
Bill Clinton.
No.
I was not.
Anything. No.
I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious. I was alive during Carter, and I would probably blame him. I was a young man during Reagan. I was at least could make a thought during Clinton, and I understand that he was the fall of our society. Easy. If you just watch him.
Oh man.
We're doomed, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
we just gotta hold on at this point, really.
I mean, if
All
Bill Clinton was one of your presidents, please, aliens, come down and save us.
Okay, topic 4. Matt came up with this idea, so I'm going to turn it over to him, unbeknownst to him. So, Matt, take it away.
Oh, thanks.
He was totally not prepared for that.
Totally not prepared for that. No, yeah, guys, obviously that was.
I object. I'm sorry. Wrong case.
Just for that, John, I'm going to talk like this for the remainder of the topic.
You're
so
the
anyway.
moderator for CBS. Got it.
No, yeah, Steve, that was a great lead-in because seriously, the debate was a train wreck. It wasn't as bad as Biden couldn't speak. Harris, I agreed, Johnny, with you. She was a cat. She was throwing up all over the place.
She used words.
I
She has
guess.
an education.
Yeah, she has some education. And then Trump was just this mean, crotchety old guy that couldn't stand it. So it kind of got me thinking. And then the media was the media. The media trying to say that they're like, oh, we're not biased. Bullshit. You know, it's like, I'm just going to call that out right now. As you guys know, I love the media.
You're not biased at all.
I'm not biased
Can
at
I
all.
say one thing biased before we start this?
Of course.
I really thought the moderators played Trump perfectly because he has some kind of ADHD or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were able to unbalance him very well. I've heard him speak at his other things. He doesn't go that far off course. They did a really good job.
Yeah.
Not saying they're my favorites, but they did a really good job.
Yeah, they did their job, which was piss off one of the candidates and cower to the other one. That's what they do. That's what the media is.
Yeah, they handled it well.
So it kind of got me thinking, gents, as I was, hearing all of this, all this BS that was being spouted, and people are kind of talking about what they want to do for the country, but not really. You're not really in a debate. It's not a true debate. You're not really getting to know the candidate, basically. And so my approach to this whole thing was, if you were to somehow get knocked out, not come to your senses and say, you know what, I think I want to invite the sitting vice president of the United States over for a cup of coffee, or I want to invite the former president over for a cup of coffee. What questions would I want to have answered? Basically,
I already have a problem because I don't like either of them and I don't like coffee. So this whole scenario is just going out the window for me.
So what Steve's going to do is invite them both over for
punch them right in the face
and then beat them to death with a coffee maker.
Exactly. So this is, I guess I wanted to kind of say, like, okay, you have them, you're sitting down at your dining room table, whatever the case may be. What questions do you want to ask? And I immediately then thought, okay, this is going to go off the rails real quick
No.
with the three of us.
I don't think it will.
So
Well,
I said,
that
no.
was right to rein us in.
I
He's
said to
correct.
rein us in. I said we basically want to, no personal attacks, none of that bullshit, none of this, no talking points. What questions would you have? That kind of deal. 2 questions. So
Why are you a douche?
that was we cannot have that. That's not what we need to decide. So I'll lead off here.
Okay.
The one question that I would ask Donald Trump would be, what advice have you received to help control or contain your anger? Because every time I see him either talking or something where he goes into a disagreement, he's automatically angry. I would love to know who
Okay,
has
that's
talked to
not
him.
true, you douchebag.
And that's what he would tell you.
Yeah, he probably shot me down in 5 minutes. But that would be my first question. I'm like,
It's a
seriously.
legit question. Absolutely.
Like,
It is a legit question.
this is very important. You can't be angry on the world stage. You got to be measured. You got to know what you're doing. You got to have confidence and all that kind of stuff. Not saying he doesn't. I'm just saying, seriously, dude, you get pissed off at the media. I get it. I hate the media too. They're a bunch of frauds. They're a bunch of liars. I get it. But why do you get so pissed off? Like, someone has to be telling you advice. Don't get pissed off at these people. You're obviously not listening, so why is that the case? So that'd be one of my questions for him.
I mean, that when he does it, it just plays into their hands.
Totally.
It's just
Yeah,
as John
yeah, I
says.
agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
totally
I
agree.
agree.
And then for Miss Harris, your party has a habit of saying one thing and doing another, which they kind of do. What can you offer to break that habit? Like, on your positions, like, are you going to say what you mean and mean what you say? Or are you just going to lie to me and just say, well, I'm going to say one thing over here and do another thing over there? Like, I'm basically asking about her integrity, essentially.
Understand, yeah.
That kind of deal. So that's the kind of like spirited questions that I wanted to have, thrown out there, that kind of a deal. So, thoughts, gentlemen? What are your questions? I'll go with Mr. Steve Murray first.
All right, who do you want me to ask first?
Yeah,
Trump.
anybody
Let's
you
go.
want.
Let's
Go.
lead off with Trump. What would you ask
Trump. All right,
Mr.
so-
former President Trump?
All right, so I have 2 questions for him. I'll do one now, and we'll see how we want to proceed otherwise. But so my first question to him would be: you've often been portrayed and portray yourself as the law and order candidate,
Mm-hmm.
but wouldn't you have to acknowledge that there are bad apples in the system, and that to have an effective police force, that element needs removal?
Yeah.
And my question is, what would you do to get ahead of this problem?
Yeah.
And it seems to me he acknowledges there's bad people in law enforcement because they're coming after him and he thinks they're bad. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
no,
but
no,
we
no,
have
no,
this, you know, the Democrats are, the far lefties are all abolish the police, and the far righties are no, back the blue. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, but there are some police who are bad, and we need to.
Got to pull them
Get
out
rid
of
of
the.
that.
How do we back the blue but circumvent the evil?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, don't. It's the way the back the blue thing is portrayed is it's sort of dismissive
Yes.
of
It totally
concerns.
is. No, it totally is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is.
Completely.
And I just think going that route is not healthy to promote an effective community.
Yeah.
I think
100%
law enforcement is absolutely necessary because there are stupid bad people out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we need to acknowledge that in some cases there's a problem.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
let's get
stupid
rid of the
bad
problem.
people
Let's get rid of the
actually
problem.
Work for the police too, also.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So let's get rid of the problem, Mr. Trump. How are you going to do that without just being reactionary and
Flying off the handle. Yeah.
exactly?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
Great question. Great.
Yeah. Great question. How about for Miss Harris? What do you think, Steve?
All right, so the first one I got for her is why, when we have a procedure that is supposed to be followed for entering this country,
Mm.
Mhm.
is the administration of which you are a part of
Mm-hmm.
and have been for 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. I like
Why
it.
is that administration so keen on looking the other way when people are basically jumping the line and not following that procedure?
Yeah.
and not just looking the other way, but using my tax dollars
Mm-hmm.
to give these people benefits
Mm-hmm.
that people who follow the rules don't get.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Great question.
100%.
Great question. Yeah. John, you have former President Trump in your hotel room with you right now.
Oh God.
Well, that's sorted.
That would not go well.
Oh my.
What would you
My
ask him?
question-
What would you ask him right now if he were right there with you?
The biggest thing I would ask Trump is, he talks about saving the middle class, and he has done fair enough. He's done some tax cuts, and he's done some things, and he's created a better middle class than before. But my question to him is, moving forward, how are you going to save these younger kids that have the college degrees and have the associate degrees, to integrate them into the middle class? Because that is something that's been lost for 30-40 years.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to do that? I understand he's going to cut overtime, he's going to cut taxes, he's going to for the working person, he's money for that.
Yeah.
How are you going to help the people that made the not the wrong choice, but made the choice to go to college and get screwed by universities? How are you going to integrate them into the middle class?
Yeah.
And help them create the same thing that you're doing for the other people?
Yeah.
Because I feel it's one-sided. I don't think he's even looking at that side of it.
Yeah.
That would be the question I ask for him.
That's good. And for Miss Harris, what do you think?
I would ask her, a lot of people, and this is exactly how I would inform it, a lot of people claim you're a Marxist, and some call you a communist.
Mm-hmm.
And your father was a absolute scholar in Marxism.
Mm-hmm.
How do you stand up in front of us and say that you're not going to kill fracking, and you're not going to tax the shit out of us, and you're not going to do these things, when you haven't addressed your position?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that people are saying that you are a communist or a Marxist. Like,
Yeah.
how can you say these things? Like, what is your defensive argument to that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And not just saying, "Oh, I'm not a Marxist."
She seems to run away from that. I'm not a Marxist.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the answer.
Yeah, that's not the answer. Yeah.
I would like if she laid me an argument,
Mm-hmm. Totally fine with that. Yeah.
I would kind of understand where she was coming from, but just I'm not doesn't
That doesn't fly.
help me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. Okay, so then I had another question for Trump, based on or beyond the political campaign rhetorics that we all find. What is your vision for the country? Like, I have yet to hear. I hear talking points, specific,
America great again.
right? I've heard that
Again.
again and again and again and again.
It's a great slogan, but
Meat and potatoes. Like, where the hell is the steak? I don't even know what we're talking about here. Like, I mean, it's like, okay, cut taxes, blah 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 blah. Tell me what it
there's some
is.
things you can do as a politician.
Yeah, just tell me straight. What are you planning to do with the country? Like, we got a couple of wars going on right now. Like, how
Man,
are we?
I have a question. Are you asking where we're going?
Where we're going?
Okay.
Yeah, where we're going.
I just wanted to clarify.
Where do you see it? Like, in a couple of years, like that kind of a deal. I mean, I
That would be
understand.
Great. I would love a politician to actually explain that.
Yeah, and that takes vision and foresight. I mean, that to me is like, it's so easy to think like, oh, we got to fix what's going on right now. We don't have time to think ahead. What made Reagan great was his vision to, like, we're going to be here in the next 4 years because of what we're going to implement in these policies. Guaranteed this is going to work. And it was like, I'll fall in this area. You can vote me out if I'm not. That's what made him a great communicator. Why he was pegged that way. For Ms. Harris, this is very, in a way, very personal. Your values and mine clash significantly. Clearly, they clash. If anybody knows who I am, you guys know me. Her values, they're completely antithetical to mine. How would you try to bring us together, despite these differences of opinions? Like, seriously. If I'm going to put you in that office, you better damn well have a plan that kind of respects where I'm coming from. And that's where I think a lot of the political discourse is happening. People don't respect the other people's opinions at all. It's whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to just plow right through it. Just because you get majority vote, or in this case, majority of the Electoral College.
Oh, God, that annoys me.
Yes, I know it does. But, because you have majority Electoral College, you also have a lot of responsibility in making sure that the country remains unified and not divided.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
Otherwise, New York and California would always vote for our president.
Absolutely.
That's
yeah. That's
That's not how
bullshit.
the system's supposed to work.
Yeah.
Which something Biden did
Oh, yeah.
very haphazardly.
Oh, yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
Over the last 4 years.
Oh, yeah. He didn't bring anybody together at all. He lied through his teeth like he always does because he's a jerk.
But he didn't blow the country up. Is what what I'm saying.
No.
Does she have the same
Yeah.
understanding of the country that
Mm-hmm.
her senior did?
Right.
That he was terrible, but we didn't blow shit up.
Right. Right. Exactly. Steve. You have
All right.
another
Who do you want
round?
the question? Who do you want the question to?
Let's go Harris and then Trump.
Okay.
So reverse
Where
it.
have you been? No.
Yes, sir.
No. The question would be, part of your alleged plan to combat inflation is to go after the so-called price gouging.
Mm.
Yes.
But what evidence do you have that this is the root problem of the inflation? And why is it that these companies apparently only figured out how to price gouge when your administration was in office?
Yes.
And to tack on to that, what metrics are you going to use to quantify price gouging?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's right that you should be setting prices. I don't think the government has that authority, or at least you don't, as president, have that authority.
Yeah.
They don't.
They do not. Market does.
So how is this supposed to work?
Yeah. Great question. Great question. And I love the fact that root cause, lean six, that makes me smile. Thank you. All right. And for Mr. Trump, Mr. Murray, what would you say?
Okay, well, this question is basically, please stop being a douche, but more eloquently put. You have been quick to denounce or support stories that primarily funneled out through social media that ultimately turn out to be demonstrably false or lack any evidence to support them. Your most ardent supporters pick up when you carry these stories through and then swear these things to be the truth come hell or high water.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth. Yeah.
Which I think contributes to the open hostility and terrible discourse that goes on in this country.
Yeah.
Why can't you just sit back and wait for evidence of something before putting your complete influence behind a so-called story?
Yeah. Boy,
What will you do in office to alleviate that problem?
Great question. Yeah.
And also making yourself look like a jackass when it turns out not to be true.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Never learned his lesson from the USFL days.
Or his TV days.
Or his TV days. Or,
I
yeah.
think it's a part. I think he's well-meaning, but a part of the system. If that makes any sense. Like he is the system.
Well, he sees a made-up story on Twitter or whatever. And he's like, "Oh!" And then he goes out and proclames it. And
I
then
want to fix this, and it's like you got played by the exact system
same.
that you were
Yeah.
a part of.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right, John, take us home. Do you have any other questions for Trump?
Oh,
or
absolutely. Which
Harris?
one?
Let's
you
go
want
Trump.
or
Let's-
Harris first.
Go Harris
Trump?
first. Let's go Harris. Let's go Harris first.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you got?
Oh, that's tough, man. Because that was my major question for Harris. I want to dive deeper into fracking with her. I want to the question I want to ask her is, you keep you keep saying you're against fracking, but then the election year, now you're for it, and you're going to put all these licenses out, and you're gonna do a better job. You're gonna do a better job than Biden did, but yet
Yeah.
you're a part of the Biden administration. You have you have the ability to do what you say,
Yeah.
and that's starting to scare me because I think you're walking away from that.
Mhm.
Well-
But you're saying that you're doing it. Like,
John, I mean, she's got this secret plan that she's just been holding back for her turn to get into office.
Yeah.
So,
but
you
that's
know.
but that's my question. Like, fracking is a huge thing, but especially for me and my living.
Oh, sure.
Like, you made the turn, which is fine. Like, cause Trump did the exact same thing. He wasn't so heavy on fracking in 2016, and then he turned everybody loose, and we were drilling oil all over the place.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm okay with you changing your position, but my question is, you're a part of administration that is not doing it,
Yeah.
and you're saying you're gonna do it. Like, why?
So why now?
That's
Yeah.
the why is my question.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right, and to take us home with Trump, what do you got, bud? What do you got?
Why JD Vance?
Great question.
End of story.
Yeah.
End of story.
Fair.
Great question.
I would just quantify it with, I could have picked. I don't hate JD Vance.
Mm-hmm. But
I
why?
just want Trump to say why.
Hmm.
I picked probably 5 or 6 before JD Vance that I thought were better,
Mm-hmm.
and Matt can help me out here.
Mhm.
I've been following politics since I was a young man.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
I don't hate JD Vance at all. I just want to know why.
Yeah.
That's
Why was
all,
that? Why
because
was that selection?
Because I picked
yeah.
5 or 6 people ahead of him,
Hmm.
and that's all. That's all I want to know.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that just sticks in my craw. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
What was-
cool with him being vice president, but
Yeah. Just want to know why.
Like, I want to hear
Yeah.
Trump say why.
Yeah.
That's all.
Great question.
I mean, the only thing I could say to that is thank God it wasn't like Matt Gates or something
No,
of
no, no,
that
no.
ilk.
I don't. No, and it never would. But he had so many people ahead of.
He could have made a selection that I think would have
Made an
improved
impact.
the image
Mm.
and made an impact. I agree.
Vivek would probably been a good choice. Tulsi Gabbard would have been a good.
Oh
choice.
yeah, they had. Oh, she had.
Like there are some people that can speak.
Hmm.
Well, not that JD Vance can't speak, but I'm interested on why. That's the
Yeah, why
one
that
thing
selection?
I want
Yeah, good
Like, I
question.
don't hate him at all. I think he's a good
Mhm.
human. I just don't know why Trump thought that would be a good fit.
Let me see, like second year in the U.S. Senate for him, I think, if I remember right.
Yeah, he's a
Military
Military
veteran,
guy, yeah.
well spoken,
Spoken.
highly educated.
Yep.
I don't think he's bad at all. I'm not trying to say he's bad. I just would love to. I want to be in the room. I want to be in the room.
You
I
wanted to
know
be that fly
why
in the
you picked
wall.
him, because
Yeah.
I saw some people that I thought were better.
There you go. All right. Well, there you
Okay.
go. That's our questions for the two candidates. Much better than the media, which I was really happy
I thought
that we
so.
did. Yeah.
I thought so. Good,
Yeah.
good. But by the way, just before we end this, Matt, great topic.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's a good thing to.
I just want to know that really when you go into a voting booth, for me, gentlemen, it's all about, okay, you're entrusting this person to run the country. That is a tall ordeal. And it's not just, part of it is, yeah, you're voting on their platforms, but it's really just character. Character matters to me so much when I go into the voting booth.
Understood.
You know?
Can I make one more statement?
Go for
Yeah.
it.
I've been voting since I was allowed to vote, and I've never walked into a voting booth
Hmm.
without at least learning something about somebody. I
Yeah.
take it very seriously. Like I think voting is one of the, as a US citizen, I think it's one of the most important things to take in and learn about what you're doing. You just don't go down the ballot. I've never been a
Yeah.
go down the ballot guy.
Yeah.
I voted Democrat as much as I voted Republican when I was a Democrat and when I was a Republican.
Yeah.
I'm always willing to, but because take it seriously. Like,
Yeah.
just because you get a card and just because you sign your name, you're just not there. It's not a popularity contest.
No.
Know your issues and know your people.
Absolutely.
And I'm not just talking presidential elections. I'm talking like county commissioners and mayors, and these people run your lives.
Yeah.
You should know these people, and you should put the right people in charge.
Yeah. And on
And
top,
if not, go do it.
and then on top of that too, really and honestly and seriously on this one, if your candidate does not win in November, no skin
It's
off
no
your
big
back.
deal.
Yeah. Keep living your life day by day. Honestly, that's really the best piece of advice that I've always given.
We've learned that for the Trumpies out there.
Yeah.
I just wanted the right wing. I just want to tell you, I voted for Trump, and I wanted Trump to be elected in 2020. I've found more success between 2020 and 2024 without Trump than I did with Trump.
Yeah.
I wanted him there.
Yeah, sure.
I thought it would have been good.
Yeah.
But just because that dude was president, just because Joe Biden was president, didn't stop me from thinking, moving, making moves.
Bingo. Yeah. Couldn't be more said. Better said. There you go.
Absolutely.
All right,
And
Steve.
At the end of the day, you just have to remember that both of these candidates are mammals and therefore are capable of breathing out of their anuses. So,
And eating each other.
yes, right. So just keep that in mind when sealed in your voting cubicle. Sealed in your voting cubicle where you will vote for Illinois Smith 2020.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well, that's
And
all
if
we
you
got.
don't, I will see you.
That's right. I mean, look what John did to the Portland teachers, okay?
Yeah.
He made that happen.
Yeah.
He made that happen. He's a mover and a shaker.
There you go, baby.
So that ends episode 207 of Two Noobs Talking. We'll be back with 208 with more ridiculousness and chicanery and shenanigans and I like what I said last week.
What
All
other
things
word-
that
other
all-
words that you have?
other words that start with sh. I'm gonna stick with that. Eh? Put a sh in front of it and we'll talk. All right, but until then, get out.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Two Noobs Talking. For more information about our podcast, feel free to check out our website located at twonoobstalking.wordpress.com, and we'll see you next week.